When the final whistle blew, the entire stadium erupted in cheers. Months of sweat, late-night practice sessions, and sacrifices had finally paid off. My team, the Falcons, had just won the national championship. We had beaten every odd, silenced every critic, and proved that unity and determination could overcome anything. I looked at my players, faces shining with pride and exhaustion, and I thought that moment would be the peak of our journey. But I was wrong. What came next was something none of us could have imagined. The next morning, we were called to the office of our organization's director. We walked in expecting celebration, maybe a speech, maybe a bonus, maybe even a small ceremony. Instead, the room felt cold. The director sat at his desk, eyes distant, hands folded. "Congratulations on the win," he said, his voice flat. "But I'm afraid there's a problem." The words hit harder than any defeat. He went on to explain that our methods were being questioned. Apparently, someone had reported that we'd violated procedure during the semifinals, something about an unauthorized strategy or disrespect toward management. It sounded absurd. We hadn't broken a single rule. We had simply adjusted our tactics mid-game when things got tough. That flexibility was what had won us the title. I stood up, trying to stay calm. "Sir, we did everything by the book," I said. "If adapting our play is a crime, then why even have a coach?" He didn't respond. Instead, he handed me a document. It stated that the team's reward money would be withheld pending an internal review, and that we were all suspended from upcoming events until further notice. The room fell silent. My players' faces went from confusion to anger. One of them, Ryan, clenched his fists and muttered, "So we win, and get punished for it?" I couldn't answer. Deep inside, I felt betrayed. These were the same people who had ignored us when we were losing, and now that we were finally shining, they wanted to clip our wings. That evening, I called everyone to my place. The atmosphere was heavy, but I told them we weren't done yet. "They can take our bonuses," I said, "but they can't take our story." We decided to go public, not in a dramatic way, but by telling the truth. We gathered proof, emails, and footage showing that everything we did was fair. Still, I knew the organization had power and influence. One wrong move, and they'd bury us. Then I made one call. I still remember my hand shaking slightly as I dialed. It was to a friend, someone who had once been part of the board before leaving because of differences. He answered, and after I explained everything, he said just 5 words that changed everything. "I know exactly who did this." He told me there had been jealousy within the management. One senior official had bet against us and lost a significant amount of money. Furious and humiliated, he had fabricated the report to make it look like our victory was illegitimate. My friend promised to get us the evidence we needed. The next few days were a blur of tension. My players tried to stay strong, but morale was low. Some doubted whether we'd ever play again. Then, one morning, I received an email from my friend. Attached were documents, internal messages, reports, and signatures, all proving that the complaint was a setup. My heart raced as I read through them. This was the proof that could end it all. I forwarded everything to the Sports Authority's Oversight Committee, and within a week, an investigation began. The truth spread fast. Reporters picked up the story, fans rallied behind us, and soon the organization had no choice but to face the public. The corrupt official tried to deny everything, but the evidence was undeniable. Finally, the suspension was lifted. We were called back to the same office, but this time, the tone was very different. The director apologized, stiffly but sincerely, and announced that our rewards would be restored with an additional bonus for the inconvenience. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about justice. When I told my team the news, their reaction wasn't wild celebration, it was quiet satisfaction. They had been broken and doubted, yet they never turned on each other. That was the real victory. We didn't just win a championship, we proved that integrity could survive even in a system built on politics and greed. Later that night, as I looked at the trophy sitting on my desk, I thought about that one call I had made. It wasn't just a phone call, it was a moment of courage, a refusal to let unfairness win. Sometimes, standing up for what's right doesn't require shouting. It requires patience, truth, and the belief that one act of honesty can change everything. In the end, We went back to the field stronger than before. The cheers of the crowd sounded different now, louder, more meaningful. Because this time, we weren't just champions on paper. We were champions in spirit, forged through betrayal, bound by loyalty, and proven by truth.